You've talked, and I think it's really interesting, about sort of how important you think it is for a director to get away from himself at times.
Yeah, I think you have your own style of film. Well, look at Woody Allen. I mean, you know, he's making movies in Manhattan forever, so they're going to get a little repetitive. He's going to go over the same material again. He'll find different ways to explore it, but his earlier movies seem to be better than some of his later movies. But then he says, oh, I'm going to go to Europe and start making movies. Well, suddenly something new happens. And this is very much the way I've kind of approached my career, where I have very specific ideas, and I get these very visual ideas to make movies, and I construct scripts around them, and they're driven by kind of a visual idea or an intellectual idea. And then I will just jump into something that's completely different from anything I've ever done, just to see what happens. And Scarface is, well, what do I know about Cuban gangsters? And I'll just see what happens. You know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You know, so, but I think it's good to get out of your own cliches. Don't start making the same movie over and over again, which is what one tends to do, especially if one is very successful at it. You have to think about what is something, when you're dealing in a certain medium, what is the thing that is best done in that form? I mean, obviously, if you're directing a play on stage, dialogue, character is paramount, because you're sitting in the audience looking, and you have to choreograph the people on stage from basically an audience's point of view. When you're making a movie, you have all kinds of things that you can explore. And what Hitchcock discovered, first is the point of view shot, which is, you know, the idea of somebody walking or looking, and then you showing what they see, and the audience member identifies with the character, whether it be Jimmy Stewart or Cary Grant or whoever it might be, Janet Leigh, and what they are seeing. And this is how we experience life, through points of view shots, which, as we talked about once before, in computer games, which are sometimes old point of view shots, where you really go through the space and explore it from your point of view. So, and what's unique to cinema, unlike any other art form, is that you can show the audience and your character the same piece of information. They see what the character's saying, so you digest that point of view. It's unique to cinema. So a lot of things Hitchcock discovered, which I talk about the grammar of cinema, this is one of the basic building blocks. You know, you'll always notice Hitchcock when somebody's walking up, like going up to the creepy house on the hill in Psycho, you know, he's tracking, looking at the house, tracking, looking at the house, you know, puts you in the character's head. Instead of objectifying it, you know, seeing the character walk up to the house. And Vertigo is an example where you follow a character, and because this is a process of getting to know the character purely visually. I mean, the whole following of Kim Novak in the beginning of the movie is he's got some ideas that the husband is stuck in his head, and he's basically observing what she's doing. But of course, what we find out later, she is acting, she is presenting a performance for him to digest as a suicidal person that's obsessed from somebody that's dead, that's going to kill themselves eventually. What's great about it is that what we do as directors is we create these illusions, which are many times actresses, and in the process of Vertigo is he creates this vision of this girl, makes you fall in love with it, and then destroys it and devastates you. And he shows you how he does it. And then what he does is he puts her makeup on and makes her the Kim Novak that we followed in that dream. He creates that illusion, which is what directors do. We create illusions for you to fall in love with. And that's something totally unique to cinema. You know, Hitchcock, of course, the genius of Hitchcock will take something like Dial M for Murder or Rope and do the smart thing. This is a play. I'm going to find a way to shoot it like a play. It's over, you know, plays are rooted to certain time sense, and I'm going to find a way to shoot it that way. That is always Hitchcock's genius, is that, and always a revelation to anybody that's a student of Hitchcock, is It wasn't like I'm going to find a different way to shoot this. He finds the perfect way to shoot this. And you go, wow, that's a really good idea. You know, and he forces himself to come up with ideas that will dramatize something, but he's very aware of the form it's created in initially. You know, the whole idea of, plays, we open them up, we go outside,
right.
Get some air. Well, that's not necessarily the right idea.